Hello everyone. So we have Kaajal Negi with us, and basically Kaajal is an IIM Bangalore alumna, and she has joined EY Parthanan in deal management practice. What we are going to do today is to pick her brain and her stories and insights from her preparation, from her career journey, the challenges she faced, and how did she overcome them. Right. So we'll try to get more of it. But before that, Kajal, thank you so much for joining in. And our idea is to, with your stories, with your insight, we can inspire more people. That's the bottom line of this conversation. Why don't you start with maybe giving us a bit more detail about your profile? Yeah.
Right, absolutely. Hi, everyone. First of all, Alok, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. We already connected, so good to be back. So basically, I started with EY, and right now I'm at EY. It's a full circle moment, but I'll explain how I got there. So I did my economics honors from Delhi University, Sri Venkateshwara College. Then I majorly worked at EY as an analyst, and then I decided to pursue my master's in sports management because I was very passionate about sports. I have a sports background. So I went to the US, did my 2-year master's in sports management from University of South Carolina, worked in sports sponsorship a bit in the US, then wanted to be closer to family, so I came back to the US. And here I worked in sports a little bit, but did not enjoy it as much. So I decided to switch back to corporate. So I then worked at American Express in credit risk management, and then finally again at EY. And after that, I just decided that I needed a little bit more like clarity and advancement in terms of how to become like the next gen leader, because I was at a point in my career where I wanted to step up and hold those roles next thing in my life. So I just decided that MBA was the most obvious choice. So applied, thankfully got into IIM Bangalore and spent a year on campus last year, very fulfilling, very transformational. And finally I got placed at EY Parthenon, and right now I'm under deal management.
Yeah, great. So thank you so much. One specific question which I have from you, Kajal, you have a very interesting career journey, very diverse experience also. Not just in terms of companies and role, but also in terms of geography also.
Right.
In the entire circle, what do you think were the most pressing challenges or doubts you had in your career, which you might have to overcome to get ahead in your career, to get ahead to right now where you are?
Right. So the first thing is definitely working with people, because no matter where you go, no matter how much tech is there in your job, ultimately you have to work in teams and you have to work with people, right? In fact, the bigger the organization, the bigger the teams and the more number of people that you have to work with. So that was the first challenge, not challenge, but learning that I came across. And MBA definitely helped you learn that, because it constantly puts you through group projects, and that's where you learn how to like deal with people, and because everybody has different personalities, but you're still working towards a shared goal, which is your project. So that was the first thing that I came across, that you have to work with different personalities and how do you handle that, right? And then second, I would say just working in, I would say, different time zones, because I think we're at a stage where, like, generally globally, the contemporary times are such that you're always working with global teams, so you have to always kind of be mindful of timelines. Like you could be working on one project and there are like 5 teams on it, right? One is in Australia, one is in the US, one is somewhere in Europe, right? So and you are in India yourself, so how do you like manage all of those time zones? And I think that's also where MBA comes in handy. It's not easy to understand how, but there is a link. Like, you literally work with so many moving parts on projects and assignments at a MBA college, and the pace is such that you have to handle all those complexities at the same time, and you have to take care of everything, every moving part, every complex or easy component that might turn up. And I think that in a way helps you prepare for this global landscape.
Great. Was there any turning point in your career before MBA, which you think a turning point, a story or something which you think kind of formed your decision towards, okay, I need an MBA, or I should do an MBA?
Absolutely. So when I was at EY the second time around, which was right before my MBA, I realized that yes, I was working in a domain and I had like domain specific knowledge, but I realized that I have to advance someday or the other, right? It could be 1 year from now, 3 years from now. And for that, you need to think like a leader. And if you just keep doing very specialized work, like almost all your working life till then, you miss out on how to handle like bigger things. Look at the bigger picture, look at a business holistically. Like I said, there are so many moving parts that make up a business. You can't just be stuck to, and we tend to do that. We get like stuck to the domain that we're like working in, and we're always just trying to improve there, which is great. But ultimately what makes a leader is how big of a bird's eye view you can imagine and how you can operate from that standpoint. And I think that I wouldn't have been able to get if I continued working in my specialized domain. So I just decided that's when I needed to get an MBA. That was the turning point.
Great, great. Was there any event or any specific person you saw, or any other inspiration which kind of led you to finally decide, okay, let me do this? Any specific instance?
Absolutely, yeah. I worked with many great professionals at EY. That's the beauty of EY. I had a very fulfilling time in terms of the stakeholder exposure that I got. So I have a lot of examples, but particularly I was working with the America's TMT market segment leader. I think his name is Mr. John Harrison. Great guy, learned a lot from him. So I saw him carry himself with such grace, and like there was a certain sense of like completeness and wholeness to how he carried himself. And I was like, that's how a leader should be. Like he knew what everybody was doing, yet he never lost, like he had enough knowledge and, you know, insight into what every specialized function was doing, yet he was able to bring it together into a complete like whole set and make things, you know, move. And I was like, I want to do that. Like I understand this one vertical, and then the next person understands the other vertical, but then there is this leader who understands everything deeply, yet he has the insight to look at it from above, from a, you know, bird's eye point of view, like I said, and just bring it all together. So he really inspired me that if somebody can have that worldview, that, you know, the way they look at things is more complete and wholesome, I think that's where I wanted to be, and not just be contained to like a domain.
Great, great. And it's an excellent example. Really inspiring about that leader. Actually, that actually, you know, also gives me maybe visualization of my leader or my person who I always look up to.
Exactly.
Great. So another question is, since you have done MBA from one of the best college in the world in terms of this thing, if you have to distill maybe only one or two specific learning, or maybe which you can say has kind of transformed you in some way, what could be those 2-3 things which you think that you have taken away, or you, because of which you got transformed?
Right. So definitely the academic rigor. Like I'll be very honest, I wasn't even like the most studious person around, and my classmates can definitely vouch for it. And yet I feel like I learned so much just balancing that kind of rigor and going into so much technicality, yet like understanding the generic points as well, which are equally important. You know, I think that back and forth of like switching to details, and then the overview, then again details, then again the overview, I think that really transformed me, because that just helps you learn how to switch your viewpoint, and that is very important because everything keeps changing today in the working world. Also, second, I would say definitely how many things you have to balance. First of all, it is a 2-year MBA, full-time MBA condensed into 1-year MBA. So no mercy there. And then you have to do other things as well. It's completely student-driven. Like you have to be on committees. Like I personally was in placement committee, and I know how difficult that became to juggle with like my, you know, basic student responsibilities. And then there were people on other committees as well, like sports, social service, branding, right? They also had so much to deal with. And then it's not like just because they're on a committee, they are exempt from like contributing to other things in class, right? Like group projects or presentations and things like that. So I think just trying to juggle that, and then like the professors and your peers' expectations on a group project from you, basically expectations from you, and also the expectations from you as a committee member. Just juggling those expectations is very hard. Just people management and dealing with different, clients. These are clients basically, right? The students you work with and for, the professors that you learn from, they're all your clients. So just juggling them, it basically teaches you stakeholder management, and also juggling so many tasks at the same time. I think it just like prepares you for what lies ahead, just multitasking. So it's very like small. I mean, it's something very small, but I think it makes like, it's the little things that make the most difference, right? So these sound small things, but they actually transform me a lot.
Any specific maybe course, professor, event, activity which you think was the most enjoying for you, or gave you the most amount of learning? What could be that?
It was actually an elective, so not a lot of people might know. So basically, there are core courses that every student has to take, right? These are common courses. But then later into your year, you get into electives, which is basically a subject of your choice, and you don't have to take the elective you don't like. Basically, you have a choice. So I took, it was GCN BNT, very long name, Global Commons Negotiations and Business in Network Technologies, and I will get you the name of the professor later. Sorry, I'm forgetting his name. But it was such an amazing class because he basically ran us through everything that is going on in the world, from like semiconductors to like global, geopolitics. Everything was there in that course, and you don't realize how important that is, because a lot of times, like I said, when you keep working on what you've been working on for years, you lose sense of the world around you, right? And when you become leaders tomorrow, you have to know the context you're operating in. Like globally, everything is so dynamic, everything is changing so fast. You tend to, you have to be well versed in it, but you tend to lose track of it, right? So that course was a reminder that no, these are all of these like varied things happening in the world around you globally, and you have to know each of that, because all of those things have to be considered when you take like leadership decisions, basically, right? Nothing is in isolation, everything is interlinked. That's the world we live in today. So basically, that is the course where I understood the basically significance of just knowing the world around you, basically.
Got it. So now that's very interesting actually, because as you rightly said, and in this era, the connectedness of the world, right? Global connectedness it's become even more important, and you see a lot of things are happening even now, right?
Yeah,
a lot of
exactly.
announcements have been made. So that's very important, and I think this is what I also drive, that whenever you're preparing for anything, you should start from macro, then come to micro, or at least start from micro and go to macro, but you should know the entire picture. Great. Another question is, now maybe let's switch gears to more tactical things in terms of placements and job, right? So what do you think was the most challenging part of your maybe placement preparation, which you think was challenging for you and you had to overcome
right. I'll be very honest. It'll be, and this is going to sound vulnerable, but it was basically just presenting what you already had done. Because see, the work X that you come in with into the program, it's not like it's changing, right? It's just set in stone now, and it's good enough because it got you into IIM Bangalore, right? But oftentimes we don't know how to present it, and also when you're in a competitive environment, it just feels like you're not enough, and imposter syndrome does tend to set in. A lot of times you like start comparing, because it didn't just happen with me; it happened with a lot of people around me as well in class. You just start comparing, and you start thinking everybody else has like better work experience than you and better credentials. So just taking a step back and realizing, no, whatever you have, like your profile is good enough, and it's good enough for placements as well. So just getting that confidence in, and also being able to sell it confidently, because the resumes that we came in were strong, but they were not as polished as they were afterwards. Like the resumes we submitted for placement shortlist, they were completely different from the ones that we applied with for the program. So I think that was the biggest challenge. Like how do you go from like a student resume that got you admission to a professional resume that gets you the job? Basically that, just presenting it in a more polished, professional manner.
Any one event or any one turning point in your preparation which kind of changed your preparation to a more, I would say, confident one?
Yes. So one was definitely resume. So basically, people might not know it, but I Am Bangalore works with Go Crack It, right? Your organization, for like from everything, like everything from resume reviews to like interview prep. Everything is handled by Go Crack It, right? So that's where it started. I had my first session with you, and you were looking at my resume, and you made me realize how many gaps there were. Like I had done the work, but I was not selling it the way it needed to be sold professionally, right? The language that you use, the numbers, how you write them and how you justify them, and every little detail on that resume. I think you made me realize that that is the kind of thoroughness that you need, and that is the kind of detail you need to get into, and it needs to be foolproof. It needs to be foolproof, no leakage, no scope of error or cross questioning. Everything you say needs to be very thoroughly prepared and accurate and justifiable. So I think that was the turning point. Like before that, you realize, oh, it's just like basic 3-4 things, you'll be done. But when you get into those resume review sessions, like my first one was with you and then Suhurta, who's the co-founder, right? So through both those sessions, I realized there is a lot of detail and care that needs to, conscious care that needs to go into these resumes. And then that also flowed into the mock interviews we had. Like every question that we answered and how the mentors told us, no, you need to be very particular about these things that you say, or these things that you don't need to say this way. So just that thoroughness, I think that was a turning point. We switched gears, like something shifted mentally, that you need to go from this to this.
Correct.
So,
exactly. I think that is also important, because see what happens sometime when we are student, even I was when a student, I would look things like activities. Okay, resume is done, now interview preparation done, and now everything is done. But when you look at from the recruiter perspective, they want to know the entire story as a package.
exactly.
Right? They wanted to know what you have done, what you have written, and what you're saying. And are they in sync or not? Or why do you do what you do? So I think that is very important. Coming back to your interviews, right?
Yeah.
Any specific thing or any specific question you find it challenging, and how did you deal with it? Or any event around it which you
Right.
find it challenging or interesting, which you want to share?
Right. The good thing is it wasn't challenging because I was prepared. So that is the key. So I can say it was interesting. So usually you prepare those consulting cases and everything, right? But when I got a shortlist from EY, that's where my focus was. Like I got multiple shortlists from other companies as well, but I wanted to get into EY because that was my focus. So I did prepare for other interviews as well, but my focus was on cracking EY because I know the culture, I know how much exposure you get. So I wanted to make it to EY. It was, like, to be precise, EY Parthenon. So I had gotten a shortlist for deal management, which is the M&A world, and I knew nothing about it. So I basically started like tailoring my preparation towards that, and I actually took a session with Mr. Navneet, and I think he's an M&A expert because he's pursuing his PhD, I think, in the M&A space, right? So I got in touch with him. I asked him to mentor me over a session, and he helped me tailor my prep from generic consulting to like M&A consulting. So basically everything that you prepare for a, let's say a case round for an interview, he helped me prepare it for an M&A case, right? And that's what happened in the interview. They asked me M&A specific questions and I was prepared. So I actually didn't find it, like, nothing bummed me. Basically, it wasn't a surprise. So yeah, like, thanks to Naveen though.
Any specific question do you remember which you find it very interesting, or you were very happy that question was asked?
Yes, because usually you expect cases like, okay, the revenue went down, what could be the reason, right? Or like the cost is like this, or profits are like that, just basic, and market entry, things like that, right? Those basic generic scenarios. But in my interview, since it was for the M&A space, they actually asked me a case in the M&A space. They were like, they gave me two options. So they were like, you're free to choose. It was between two telecom operators or between two airlines. You like pick any. Just imagine, like, let's say Airtel is merging with Idea or something like that. Or for example, Vodafone did merge with Idea, right, and became V. So they were like, when it does happen, like, how do you assess the whole thing? How do you like advise people on that? What are the parameters that you assess the whole thing on? And that was interesting because that is not a regular case that you prepare for, right? That's an M&A case. Like, two entities are merging. So what are all the things that you like assess? Basically, the like particular parameters for it. So you have to go through the whole framework with them, right? So I think that was something like interesting that I came across. I was like tailored to the space.
Great, great. One more question. I think, what do you think? Maybe one thing in your profile, I either maybe in resume or during interview, which kind of differentiated you from others, or maybe provided you some edge.
Right, right. I think it is just the strength of my resume, to be honest, because it helped me be confident when I was speaking the same things that were on my resume, right? A lot of times what happens is you have great things, yes, because your mentors have, helped you refine your resume and it's near perfect and it's great because it got you a shortlist. But then ultimately you have to be able to justify it, right? So I think just the resume that was so refined gave me the confidence to say it out loud, basically, because usually you feel a little underconfident that yes, like I've done these things, but how do I sell them with like quiet confidence without sounding too arrogant? And I think that like quiet confidence comes from the strength of your resume, because if your resume is not good enough, if you're not prepared, because when you go through that resume review, you also, those points are in your head as well, right? This needs to go like this and this is how it needs to be said as well, which is later refined by the mock interviews, right? So I think just the strength of the resume, and then on top of it, when we basically did the mock interviews, I think the preparation was solid, and that's the confidence it gave me, and that's basically what gave me the confidence. So yeah.
Got it, great. Let's say if somebody has maybe 30 days to prepare for their placement, and let's say specifically they're targeting M&A roles in consulting or investment banks or somewhere, and they have only 30 days. I mean, they have some profile, but they have 30 days to specifically prepare for these roles. What should be their roadmap? What should be the 4-5 activities should they do? What should be their maybe approach?
Right. So since we're talking about very practical, actionable steps, the first thing would be take a deep breath because 30 days is close and I know the mindset. And the second would be declutter, like in your head. Basically, what happens close to the placements is you talk a lot to your friends and it just keeps giving you anxiety because somebody is doing something different. Somebody else is doing something different. And you're probably not targeting those areas, but you're still worrying, oh, other people are preparing this. Why am I not preparing that, right? So first you need to get rid of that clutter. And then second is, you already know your target. Like we apply to a lot of companies, but we kind of know which ones we really want to get into, because I mean, out of fear you will like maximize your chances and apply to like a variety of roles, right? But you really know what you want to get into, whether it's like project management, even if you've applied to broadband but you want to go into project management, so you know, right? If you want to go into M&A, even if you apply to like general consulting as well, so you know your target. So I would say that be very clear with your target, especially that close to the placement week. And I think just tailor your prep to that. Yes, don't lose track of all the other profiles that you've been shortlisted for, because they're your safety cushion, right? To be honest. So you have to put in some effort there as well. But I think most of your effort needs to be put into the target role, because I think that completely optimizes your time closer to placements. Because if you try to do everything, that's not humanly possible. So you do a little bit of effort everywhere, but the maximum in your target domain, like those 1 or 2 roles that you really going for.
So if we target, let's say M&A role, and I need to study right now, let's say I have 4 days to study only about M&As,
right.
Specifics about M&A. So where should I read? What should I do? What should be the order of it?
Right. A simple Google search will give you a lot of resources. You need to go to all of these consulting firms and their websites. Basically, they have a lot of articles on like M&A and the kind of frameworks they're using, the kind of trends there are in the industry, and that's basically it, right? I mean, you need to know the basic frameworks and you'll find a lot of papers on it online. And then you also need to know what is going on in that space, like industry knowledge, right? So for all of those things, and that's what I did as well. Like Suhurta told me that you need to go, she literally walked me through some of these websites. She's like, go to like the Deloitte website, EY website, PwC website, right? KPMG, and they have a lot of repository there. It's just that people forget that there are those knowledge papers on the website. So you need to go through basically whoever is the expert in that line. You need to go to their website and just prepare from there.
No, I think it is very important. See what happens, as you rightly said, when there's 30 days, the first thing I'll do is panic. Okay. And then the basic commonsensical things that, just Google search, just see what's happening in that area. I mean, those goes for a toss. So that's very important to keep your cool, and that will give you the commonsensical approach to prepare for it. One interesting, point here I would like to check with you would be how much finance knowledge is required or not required, or what do you think for the role if somebody is preparing for M&A role?
Right. That is, I'm glad you asked me. Thank you. Because this is like a very big myth that needs to be busted. A lot of people who have gone on to like get their shortlists in EY, especially the M&A space, and you would think they have like finance backgrounds. They don't. Some people do, but there were a lot of people who were shortlisted along with me, and some even like got into EY Parthenon in the M&A space. They did not have like finance backgrounds and I remember from my interview, I wasn't asked a single finance question. It was like the basics that I'm prepared for, right? Tell me about yourself. Then like basic frameworks for M&A, which you don't need a finance background for, right? And then like a case study in the M&A space. Then again, no finance background required. I literally remember people with like IT background, supply chain background, or like auto background getting into like these roles. So there's definitely no like nothing set in stone as in you only need a finance background or you need to be a CA or CPA, CFA, right? So as long as you can get your head to, and you're from IIM Bangalore, you can make sense of most things, right? So it should be like a cakewalk for you. You don't have to have a technical background, but you still know enough to be able to learn and upskill, right? That's enough.
Yes. Great. I think we have talked a lot, Kaajal. Just one last question, maybe which we want to leave audiences with. Let's say a lot of professionals, so I'm not just talking about students, but professionals also. A lot of professional, one, they feel stuck. Second, they may want to transition because they feel stuck, or in general, they wanted to, transition their career. And overall, they're worried about all these layoffs and everything, right? In that case, when they are not in a good state of mind for some reason, and you need to tell them to prepare for transitioning their role, what should they start doing? One, in terms of maybe to have that, that sense that, they are okay and they can still do things from the motivation perspective. And second, from the content perspective.
Right. I think motivation comes from clarity, is what I believe. At a time when you're very mentally low or distressed, and it happens with all of us, like we've all been there, so no shame there. But I think that is a time where you need to, like I keep saying, declutter mentally. You need to like let go of the noise, like you want to do this and that and this and that. No, that's a lot of clutter in your head. You need to be clear about what drives you. That gives you motivation. If you like, okay, you're stuck in a space, but you need to delve deeper. Like, why am I stuck there? What is it that I wanted to do that I'm not able to do, right? So you need to figure that out for yourself, like where you want to go. You may not be there, but at least you want to go there. So that clarity, that definitely gives you motivation, because if you don't know what your goal is, what will you work towards, right? So, and then motivation will not come, because it needs a little specific target to like come around. So I think clarity will drive motivation, like why you stuck and where you want to go. You need to ask yourselves those questions. Reflection helps. And second, content wise, I would say you should literally just get in touch with a lot of people who've made it and try to analyze them, because they were also at a place where they felt stuck, and that's why they wanted to change, and that's why they went for an MBA. So I think just like reach out a lot, network a lot. People are always willing to help, and because they understand, they've been on that side, so they improved. They also want other people to do that, right? So I think reach out to a lot of people, and then like get yourself mentors, and they might be able to guide you on how to bridge that gap, like how to walk that road, basically. So yeah,
I think that's very important. See, I think one of the problem which I am seeing is, because now you have access to everything, you actually don't have access to anything.
Right.
Yeah, and it becomes even more difficult for you to decide things, and hence it is kind of cluttering your mind again more and more and more.
Yeah.
Great. Last maybe not last question, but do you have any maybe one phrase or one mantra for all of the audience which can help them in their career?
Absolutely. Summed up in one line, and I actually got this from our professor Venkat Giri, Professor Venkat Giri, DS professor. Oh, and by the way, like the professor for that elective, that's Mr. A. Damodaran, Dr. A. Damodaran. If you want to like Google him and kind of Yeah, exactly. Such a great guy. So this phrase is from the DS professor, Professor Venkatgiri. Do what works for you. He actually told me you need to stop listening to people because your life is different. Your goals may be different from the next person or the next 100 people, right? So do what works for you.
I think that's great. Actually, this really resonate with a lot of people. Should resonate with a lot of people.
Yeah.
So I think I mean, you mentioned Professor A. Damodaran.
Yeah.
So I have a very fond memory of him teaching us actually a very boring course from the surface. When he started teaching and the information he started giving us, we were like amazed by his knowledge, and because of that information, we become so much interested in that course. So he's a great professor, and Professor Venkatgiri, I mean, that is also a great quote for him. So thank you so much, Kajal. I think I'm just kind of summarizing it. One, initially we discussed your career journey, the challenges you faced in terms of working with people, working in different time zones. Then we talk about one of the leader who inspired you for the way he carries himself and the way he uses the knowledge to integrate it for the work to be done. And then we talked about your takeaway from MBA, where you talked about academic rigor, and definitely balancing things amongst so many things. And then we talked about Professor Damodaran course, that how things are interconnected globally and how one thing impacts other. And then we talked about what prepares you for your placement, the clarity, the kind of questions which you had prepared, the kind of resume which you have prepared. And then we talked about what differentiated you, right? And then we also talked about for the people, right? If they have 30 days, I mean, I think what one thing very clearly came out from this discussion is that if you really want to do anything, that too in any amount of time, be it 30 days, be it 15 days, the first thing you should do is get decluttered get clarity, basically get clarity, whatever way, get clarity. That is the most important asset you can have in your preparation. And then definitely knowing your stuff. And once you have clarity, actually the second is more consequential, right? Exactly. Like going through websites, going through different websites, just reading about the job and everything. Yes. And then we talked about, what should people do when they are demotivated. And again, we discussed about the clarity and how you can get clarity through reflection and through mentoring and through other things. And last but not the least, do what works for you. What works for you, and don't listen to anyone. Exactly. So that's a great learning. I mean, I think one of the best learning I get is by talking to you and other students, and who share so many insightful and unique stories, right? So thank you so much for that. And maybe next time when I'm visiting Noida or Delhi, let's catch up.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much. And I really want to say thank you to you and all the mentors at Go Crack It, because they give their 150%. I'll be honest. So yeah, totally recommend it.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Chalo, milte hain. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Yeah, bye.